So when did this switch happen to makeup artistry? I connect the dots for us.
I felt that something was calling me. And someone said something to me. They said, never allow pressure to push you, but allow passion to pull you. And I felt that my passion was calling me.
Yes.
And I just needed to get out.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Urpreneur. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing somebody who is no stranger to this set. I have none other than Maegan Gonzales-Brown. Maegan has been doing the makeup for Urpreneur for season 1, season 2, and now I'm finally excited that we have her in front of the camera where I think she really belongs.
Thank you.
Welcome, Maegan.
Thank you, Carrie-Ann. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. And I mean, as you said, like I faded into the background and now I'm back out, guys.
Great. So, Maegan, I've always been intrigued to understand, how you started your business. So it's Makeup Majix by MGB.
Yes. Well, actually, that is the name in terms of legality and stuff, but the social media name is Makeup Majix, and actually that came out of rebranding during the pandemic because it was Makeup Majix. And how that name came about, when I was working my job prior to doing makeup, one of my coworkers, she was telling my husband, she's like, your wife is a magician, like she transforms people, and you all should name it Makeup Majix. And when she said it, it had a nice ring to it.
Yes.
So unfortunately, when we had to register the business, the name was already taken. So we just went with Makeup by MGB Limited because it was my initials.
So hold on, Maegan. You just said where you used to work before. So where you used to work before?
So I actually came from a background of banking. So I used to work for one of our very big known banks in Trinidad and Tobago.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was quite an experience. It was a big learning curve for me because I knew that I wanted to do something different. But when I came out of school and I, wrote CXC, I knew that I had to start working, and my mom and my sister actually were in banking. So I just felt like that was my next step.
Right.
Yes.
So, all right, so you started working in the bank. So when did this switch happen to makeup artistry? I connect the dots for us.
All right, so that is such an exciting and quite a journey because while working at the bank, I had the normal everyday makeup, but as I started to practice and do my face every day, I took so much pride and enjoyment in doing my face to go to work more than actually working. So like on a Friday or Carnival Friday or any particular holiday, if we had like a long weekend and we had to dress up on a Friday, like my co-workers would say, come and do my makeup. So on a Friday, I would come with my makeup kit to work and get my co-workers' faces done. And like even clients who came over the counter, they'll be like, your face looks so good. Who did your makeup? And I'm like, well, obviously I did my makeup to come to work. I don't think I hired a makeup artist.
Yes.
So I guess a lot of people saw the potential in me. And the first time I ever wore makeup was for graduation, like grad.
Yes.
And my makeup skills were so poor that my husband, my then boyfriend, he would discourage me and he would be like, don't wear makeup. Like makeup is not for you. But I knew, like I persisted. I really persisted.
Yes.
And I knew that I had a love and passion for it. And beauty on a whole. Now, I didn't think that I would have been a makeup artist because I was doing nails. I had a passion for hair, for fashion. So makeup at that point was not like my goal. I didn't see it as a profession. It was just a passion. But as time went by, there was this one thing that stood out to me when I came to work, and one of my supervisors, she was like telling me, she's like, I love how you present yourself for work, and it's so admirable. You're young. I just got married, and she's like, I think that you should try to coach the other young ladies as well to do the same, because people won't take in that pride. And like, I took so much pride into getting dressed and ready for work. Like, you look like you got up and you took time, and I noticed that there was a correlation with how people treated you. So like, because I would look a certain way, I present myself a certain way, especially in the customer service environment, clients would respect you. They would talk to you a certain way. They would treat you nice. They would be pleasant. And the persons who didn't take that energy and time, that they would treat them like, a little girl,
Yes, that makes sense.
There was this one time she told me, she's like, I want you to put together a presentation on, just a simple look of what would be required to come to work, like a makeup look, basically. And I enjoyed that session so much.
Yes.
I was like, I think I could do this, I could teach people, what is work appropriate makeup, and I really enjoy that. And I think that it planted a seed. And it germinated, and it is what it is today.
But when and how did you finally make the plunge, though?
So I was in a bank almost 6 years. And I felt like I was just going through a motion. I lost zeal in doing the actual work. I was not happy. But I knew that, I had a job. It was a good job. It was stable. So I was just going through the motions. And there was a girl who told me, she was like, you're not looking happy. You're not looking like yourself. I was like, I really don't want to be here. It's not that I hated my job, but I felt that something was calling me. And someone said something to me. They said, never allow pressure to push you, but allow passion to pull you. And I felt that my passion was calling me. And I just needed to get out. Even though it was a high pressure job, we had targets to meet. So I felt like it wasn't the right time, but I knew that it was going to come very soon. And, the bank was doing a restructure, and they were letting people go, and they were cutting staff. And thankfully, I was not cut. I still had my job, but I felt a sense of instability and insecurity. And I felt that I needed to close that chapter and open a new chapter in my life. And if I didn't do it at that point in time, that, the outcome would be different. So I said, I don't want to come to work one day and feel like I don't have job security. And we all know right now the climate is very unstable. And even at that time, I think that was in 2014. I didn't feel like I had a job, even though I still had my job. I didn't feel like I had my job. And I said, you know what, instead of dealing with the clients and interfacing with them directly, maybe I should try something more in the background. So I decided, I'd apply for a transfer. I literally begged for a transfer out of the branch to go into a background unit to see if that would have changed. And I realized that it didn't really help. I still had that something in me that was not feeling fulfilled or satisfied. And it was, I still got the transfer. And while working there, I think I was 2 months in that new position. I spoke to my husband and I said, I'm really not happy here. And I feel like it's time for me to move on. But you feel sad because you forged all these relationships. You still have an income, every month. He had left his job already, so we would have been both unemployed. So it was a very faith-based move. And we had a discussion because we were actually traveling to go on vacation to visit his cousin. And she was getting married, and I was supposed to do her makeup. And we had put aside our savings to do that. And he said, I want to have this discussion with you because this is going to be a turning point in your life. And every decision that you make now is going to affect your future. And when he said that to me, I was listening intently at what he was saying, because, we have, husband and wives, we have our, back and forth. But then there are some times when he would speak and I would just like tune in, because I feel like it's a turning point. It's a crossroad.
Right.
And he said to me that, he feels the same way. Like, I was balancing work during the week, and then I was balancing being a wife, and I didn't have kids as yet, and pursuing my passion on the weekend. And I was so excited about my passion that I didn't like going to work anymore, and I was just going through the motions. And he said, this is the opportunity. Like, if you don't make this move now, you'll never have it again. Wow. And when he said it to me, I just envisioned a room full of doors, and I was going to open this door that would close behind me,
right,
and never open again. Or if I walk past that door, that door will never be open again.
Right.
So when he said it to me, I just said, that this is the door of opportunity. And opportunity comes with a specific time, to make a move in that specific time, And when he said it to me, I felt sad, but I felt that it was going to work out, that I had that faith.
Yes.
And, faith thrives on the soil that is, turmoil, and there's confusion. It thrives on that soil. So he wrote up my resignation letter, and I dropped it in that day.
Whoa.
We did not go on that trip because we took the money,
and
we set up our studio home. So he said, we can use the money, go on your trip. So he gave me, like, in Matrix, they had the red pill and the blue pill. And he said, the red pill, you go to your vacation, you have a good time, and you go back to work.
Yes.
Or you take the money, which is a sacrifice. No vacation, we'll go to Bago. And you take the money and you set up and you buy all the materials and tools and equipment to start and set up your studio.
Yes.
And I think it was, at that point, I was disappointed because I really wanted to go. But then I said, you know what, we'll have more opportunities to travel again, and I made the move. So I handed in that resignation letter with tears in my eyes.
Oh, gosh.
And my supervisor, she's like, you sure you want to do this? And I said, I don't know. Like, I didn't know. But he had enough faith to carry the both of us through. And, yeah, the rest is history.
Wow. So I want to know, so when you handed in the resignation letter, you bought the tools, you started the business fresh. How was the first couple of months?
Karian, I cannot tell a lie. Like, my first couple months, it was like I hit jackpot. So my husband and I were watching each other like, why didn't we do this all along?
Wow.
Like, I was able to replace his salary, and have extra. So it was actually like something that, and then we were young.
Yes.
So we had no reservations. We were like, go all out, do everything we want to do. We ended up traveling that year. We went to Washington and Disney, and we did it. So
wow.
It was actually a really good time.
Yes.
And we learned a lot during that time. And I learned that as an entrepreneur, sometimes it's going to be overwhelming.
Yes.
And I can't wait to share that. I don't want to jump ahead of you.
No, hello, I'm right there with you. Tell me about the overwhelming.
So at first, I was excited because I was doing things that we've never been able to do before, traveling to places. And we were having a good time because we were newlyweds, fairly new, and no kids, no responsibilities. And it was really a fun time. And we got to spend a lot of time with each other before we actually settled down and, started having kids. But we learned so much during that time. I remember when my mom passed away in 2016, she was diagnosed with cancer. And it was a really rough time for me because I wanted to see her. I wanted to spend time with her, but I also wanted to service my clients. I wanted to do the jobs and continue working as normal, not knowing that those were her last moments and her last time for her life.
Yeah.
And eventually she passed away, and the day she passed away, I had 2 weddings to do. And on the day, well, in the night she passed, and then the next day I had another wedding to do in Tobago. And I literally had to pause my grief. So I had to put everything on pause. I did not cry. I did not think about it. I did not process her passing. I went and I worked. And the bride, she was so surprised. She was like, I didn't think you would come. And I said, I think this is what my mom would want. She's already gone, but your day continues and life continues. And at that point, I realized that I didn't spend as much time with my family as I wanted to. I missed a lot of holidays and vacations and family get-togethers. And at that point, when my family needed me, I went to do the wedding, which I think I did the right thing, but there was a tug.
Of course.
It was a tug. So it was back-to-back weddings. I came back to do another wedding in Trinidad. I went to do a wedding in St. Vincent. So it was always on the go. So I didn't cry for almost a week. I didn't process anything for a week. And then the day after the funeral, I just let it all out. And I had work to do that day, and I said, I'm not going. And that's the hard thing about being self-employed. When you don't work, you don't get paid. So on one hand, my husband, who's my boss, was like, no, you have to work. You need to go and do what you said you're going to do. You can't disappoint. And then on the other side, I felt like I needed to be there for my family.
Right.
So, those are just the struggles that you face some of the struggles that you would face as an entrepreneur. That emotional side.
Wow. So you just unpacked a lot there.
Yes. Sorry to go so heavy.
No. I love it. I was really there with you. So, what were some of the other lessons you learned, over the course of running your own business? So you just shared some, about the toggle or the struggle between family time, and when your family needs you, but also when you've made a commitment to your client and you don't want to disappoint your client, so that's one.
Yeah.
What were some of the other challenges that you faced during your time as an entrepreneur?
I feel that people underestimate entrepreneurship because it's big shoes that you need to fill on a daily basis. You don't get a day off or time off or vacation. Like when I run away on a vacation, like people wouldn't even know because they're literally stalking you on social media. So if you post something, they're like, but aren't you supposed to be here for my wedding? Like I had a situation like that. Like I posted like a throwback. Oh no, I used to do like at the time when flying was a thing.
Yes.
I would go on a vacation, and on the day of the wedding, I would come back, and people would be panicking. But yeah, so I think that you have big shoes to fill. People underestimate that the work that you need to put in to have a successful business. You need to be social media manager. You need to be the janitor. You also need to be the accountant. You also need to manage your calendar and, scheduling appointments. I mean, now there are apps and things that you can implement that will help you, but it's a lot that you need to do to always remain on top of your game.
Right.
So I think that it can be time consuming because when you're not servicing your clients, you're servicing them behind the scenes. You're always looking at ways to improve your brand, improve yourself, improve your skill behind the scenes. So there's never downtime. And for me, being a mother of 3 under 4, it's a lot. You have to be mommy and wife, but then you also need to not neglect you as a person. And then I'm a business owner as well.
Right.
So, I just added on that extra cap, that mommy cap.
Yes.
So it's a lot in terms of management and managing. Yeah.
Right. So, I'm curious. Your makeup business was doing well. You have, pent up demand in terms of clients. So why did you decide to branch off into training?
Actually, when I started, I was only into doing makeup.
Right.
But then I realized that I'm only me, as there's only one of me. So I decided that, I wanted to train persons and also employ them as well. Because prior to me doing and going off on my own, I also had the same opportunity with the person who I trained with, Arlene Villarreal. I worked with her for almost 2 years.
Okay.
So I knew what that did for me. That was a major stepping stone in my career.
Okay, excellent.
So I wanted to be able to provide that same, succession for my students and
Right.
persons who I would have employed under me. So, and I think it paid off, because when I look and I follow on social media, I follow a lot of my past students, and to
Right.
see where they have gone and how they have grown and
Yes.
what they were able to do. I am happy and I feel accomplished knowing that I was able to impart something that could change their lives as well.
Right. Okay. All right. So I want to ask you, how did you manage during the pandemic? Were you negatively affected?
So, backtrack to 2017, 2018. I had my kids, one in 2017, one in 2018.
Right.
And when I look back now, I was working 12-hour shifts every single day. No
Whoa.
holidays, no weekends, back-to-back
Yikes.
jobs, client to client, one wedding to another wedding, back-to-back. And my last pregnancy, late 2019, I found out I was pregnant with my last daughter. And I made a joke and I said to my husband, I wish that I can rest with this pregnancy, because I've never rested with any pregnancy. I always work down to the last day.
Yes. Look at that.
And it so happened the country shut down, the world
Wow.
shut down.
Yes.
So at first I was happy because I was getting to spend time home. I was
Right.
tired. I had 2 toddlers and I was pregnant. But there was a period where I was kind of losing my mind. The monotony, the same thing every day. I felt like it was Groundhog Day. Like I would get up and do the same thing
Oh, gosh.
every single day. Like I was like, I have to bathe these kids every day. I have to feed them every day, because they were going to daycares and they were going to,
Yes.
preschool. And it was traumatic for me, but I was happy at the same time.
Yes.
So there was a bit of a mixed
understand.
emotion, and I know that other moms and
I'm sure.
and listen, makeup is my passion,
Yes.
and I felt that I wasn't getting to smell makeup and do makeup. And my first client, I was almost nervous because I was like, I don't even know if I remember how to do this. And at that point, you wanted to follow the government and, abide
Yes.
by all the restrictions. So I had no clients for that period.
Right.
And then I had my daughter in June, and the country had opened back. So they were allowing beauty services and stuff to open back.
Right.
So they opened 5 days after she was born. So, I was back out to work
Oh, gosh.
5 days after she was born.
Wow.
I was back out to work. I was like, I need to touch her face. I need to do makeup. Yeah.
Okay, wow. So I also see that you branched off into, microblading and lashes. So what made you decide to add those additional services to your repertoire?
So that is a very interesting topic.
Yes.
Because the last question you asked me, you said, what made me branch off into doing makeup artistry and training. So what happened over a period of time, the market started to become saturated.
Right.
So what I noticed, like, my job started to decline. So if I was getting 20 clients in a weekend, it went down to like 15. Not dramatically or drastically, but I
Right.
noticed that there was a dip for obvious reasons, because there's always somebody who can do it just as good, or maybe not as good, but cheaper. So I noticed that there was a decline. So in the beginning of 2018 or the end of 2018 actually, my husband and I were restructuring and looking at our goals,
Right.
and looking at the business and what we can offer our clients. You want to be different. You want to stand out, and you don't want to continue doing the same thing
Right.
the same way and
Yes.
expecting different results.
Yeah.
That is the definition of insanity. So I knew that I wanted to do something that was complementing makeup, but not taking me away from makeup.
Right. Okay, that makes
So,
sense.
like ordinarily, you would see people who do makeup, they would also do hair or do nails.
Right.
But for me, personally, I believe that those services are very wide in itself, and it can actually take me away from my true passion.
Right.
But lashes and microblading can enhance
Right. That makes
what I
sense.
already love and do.
Yes.
So, but it's just more on a more permanent basis. So I decided that I was going to travel and, learn these services. And lo and behold, it was something that I was so excited about. I
That's
like new
good.
things,
Yes.
and I just felt like I was doing the same thing the same way over and over.
Right.
And the monotony was getting to me. So I just wanted to do something different. And I think it was the perfect blend. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So, if you were to look back on your entire journey, you've had I would say, a very successful business. Are there any tips that you think you could share, or anything that you think you could pass on to, whether it be another makeup artist or another entrepreneur?
So what I would say is that not everything that glitters is gold. There are things that go on behind the scenes that, of course, you're not going to broadcast.
Right.
And social media has a way of masking the truth and the ugly truth sometimes. There are hard months. There are months that you may just break even. There are going to be months that it's going to be sky high and you're going to have expenses more than you have income. And then there are months that you would have more income than expenses.
Right.
So there are some, truths about being an entrepreneur or being a business owner that people are not going to tell you. They would see the beauty of it. You have your own business, but then you also have double the expenses. You have rent, whereas somebody else just has a rent where they live. You have a rent where you work.
Yes.
So there, you need to be able to manage your resources responsibly,
Right.
and not mismanage your finances. Hire someone. If you are not equipped to manage your finances, hire someone, or even learn how to be able to manage your finances and not take on excessive debts and things that you don't need. And it can happen where when you're young and you see a certain amount of money, you might feel like
Yes.
this is mine.
Yes.
But we learned that early, that the money you make is not all yours, right? There's business expense, there's personal
Yes.
expense, and you should always maintain that employee,
Right.
so, they say more money, more problems.
Yes.
So when you were working a job, you were surviving and you were managing on this salary. So
Yes.
continue living within your means, not to,
Right.
according to my mother, hang your hat where your hand can't reach.
Right.
Because it can come back to haunt you and you would regret certain decisions.
Yes. So you mentioned that the deception that can happen on social media, but I also know that social media can be a great tool.
Definitely.
So what has your experience been with social media? I do see that you're very active. I see that you have a large following. Share some insights with, what or how you use social media.
So in the early part of my career, I was more focusing on Facebook because that's where the crowd was, that's where the market was. So this in itself was one of my major accomplishments, between my husband and myself, because he's the one working behind the scenes, and we boosted a lot and was able to grow our following on Facebook to 200,000 followers.
Right. Wow.
And what that meant, it meant that I needed to be present. So constantly in people's faces, constantly posting work and befores and afters and transformations, and just constantly posting work, and not just any work. It's all about quality work. So, he got into editing and photography. So he would, at one point, he was the one who would take out all my professional shots to bring that certain quality to people's eyes, because we get so accustomed to, just the basic stuff, but people like and appreciate quality. So we were very much present on Facebook for a number of years, until I would say 2018, 2019, 2017, around that period there. We always had our Instagram account, but it was not active. But then we realized that as time progressed, what happened, the market, the age group changed, right? The category that is on Facebook is not on Instagram. The category, the age group now is the early 20s, mid 20s. So we started and we switched to Instagram. So Instagram in itself is a whole different... Listen, we can do a whole segment on Instagram.
We may have to.
Yeah, we definitely would have to. But having a social media presence is important, because you want to be in people's faces. If you stop posting, they're going to assume that you're not working. So people relate working with posting. So if you don't post, you have no work. So even when you do not have work, you need to be consistent. So it's about consistency, quality. Then there's the aspect of constantly in people's faces. Well, I guess that would be consistency. And something else I was thinking about anyway. Yeah, but you need to be in people's faces all the time. You need to also be consistent and then give them creativity as well. Right? So you don't want to do what everybody else is doing. You want to create a brand for yourself, so that people would look at you and know that you have something different to offer, and they would tune in. So you want to captivate them.
So do you think social media is a critical tool that all entrepreneurs should think about?
It definitely is. I had a friend who I worked in a bank with. She was actually into makeup as well, but she was not into social media. And even at that time, back in 2013, 2014, I told her, I said, you need to get with it, because everybody's on social media. But she didn't like the idea of it. She did a makeup course and she does not do makeup today. Everybody has different goals and stuff in life. But I saw where it was a tool that I was able to use to my advantage. So I was on social media and I grew my following and grew my clientele before I was able to leave the bank.
Okay, that's excellent. So you've trained a number of students, right? Do you still keep in touch with them?
Definitely. Like, sometimes what would happen, when I have extra work or jobs that I can't fulfill, I would pass them on to some of my top students and my best students. Because, I'm only one person. I wish I can duplicate and clone myself, but...
So that's like a part of your legacy there.
So even when I move on from makeup, at some point I have planted seeds in other person's lives, and I have a legacy.
Okay. So Maegan, you mentioned that your mother was in banking, your sister was in banking. So where did this entrepreneurial streak come from? Is it that you're from a family of entrepreneurs? Are other people in your family entrepreneurs?
So I am actually a first generation business owner. So there's absolutely nobody in my bloodline that owned a business, started a company, worked for themselves. Everybody had conventional jobs, and even on my husband's side as well. So this was uncharted ground, and this was something new for both of us. So we had a lot of learning to do on our own. We didn't get a lot of advice, we didn't get help, and even we didn't get the support from our family initially, because they believed in job security, and they believed that you work until you retire and you get a good pension. And we were doing something different, and we were going against the status quo. So that was something new for us.
So what will your advice to your children be like?
My advice to my children would be to follow your dreams, follow your passion.
Okay.
And of course, get a good education, but also have something at the side that you can fall back on. So even if
Right.
it doesn't work out or you don't like it, that you have something
Right.
as a backup plan.
Okay, that makes sense. So, Megan, considering that you had to, learn things, on your own or the hard way, what are some of the tools or apps that you would have used to help you, with your business?
Okay, so for accounting, there's QuickBooks.
Right.
Then there's also Acuity that I would usually use. Well, I didn't actually start using it as yet, but they're booking apps like Acuity. Then you'd also have apps that you can use to, create good quality photos. I would use like Facetune and Perfect Cam, and also improving the quality and the layout of your stories, and that I've been getting a lot of compliments from. So earlier this year, I decided and that I was going to embark on this journey where I'm going to boost my page and boost my quality of work and the way that I lay out the work.
Yes.
Because, people like to see things different.
Right.
So I'm sure that you follow my
Of course,
Instagram page.
I do, and I find you're doing an amazing job.
Listen, that is a full-time job by itself. That in itself is social media management.
Yes.
But I noticed that there was a difference. There was a difference in the response from my clients, because what I did, I didn't even realize, but I started doing like different days where I would focus on different topics. So I had Mommy Mode Monday, Transformation Tuesday, which Transformation Tuesdays was a big hit because everybody wants tips on how to lose weight, how to get in shape,
Right.
how to look the best.
Yes.
So, and then other days I would designate for certain topics so that I will focus on that for different days. And I noticed that my audience reaction was so different because they were now getting a sneak peek of my life.
Right.
And as an entrepreneur, people want to know the brand. They want to know more than just what you can offer,
Yes.
more than just a service. They want in on your life. Okay, we don't want to face the truth, but we live in a society where people are nosy and they want to know, what do you do? What do you do on a daily basis? What is your life really like?
Yes.
And the reality is, even what you post on social media is not always the reality.
Yes.
But it is the reality for what they can see.
Right.
So that in itself can be somewhat twisted, and it can sell people unrealistic dreams. But you have to control what you post and what your clients see and what you feed them. So I noticed that there was a difference in my audience's response. So they were tuned into me being a mommy and me losing weight more than me posting work. Right? And when they buy into you as the brand, then they would buy the brand, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right, of course.
So they want to see you, and they can feel out your personality and learn you and like you as a person, and then they would buy the brand.
Right. Okay, that makes total sense.
So back to the question, I started to improve my Facebook stories and Instagram stories using apps like InStories, Lyft, and there's another one called Mojo. So it really enhances your stories and your posts and edit it to a professional level. So sometimes you don't even have to pay someone to do it. You just need to pay to keep up the app, and you can do it yourself.
Right. Okay, are they difficult to learn or use?
No, sometimes it's just templates that they give you, and you can fill in the content. But content creation is so important for your clients.
So Megan, I do have one last question to ask you. It has nothing to do with work. Is there anything that you could or would share with us that we might not know or might not have guessed about you? You've shared a lot already, but it could be something fun, something quirky.
Okay.
You know how it goes.
Okay, so if I wasn't a makeup artist,
yes,
I would definitely, at some point, I don't know if I would still want to, but I would pursue either dancing or singing.
Okay.
So growing up, I was always into dancing.
Yes.
Do not ask me to dance. I might quicker sing.
All right, I could take a tune.
Okay. Okay.
I've seen you sing on social media and you sound amazing, so don't be shy.
I am not shy. If I don't pick up the phone like I used to, don't you take it personal if I don't do all the things that I used to do for you. I ain't mad at you if you get the feeling stressed up in your chest, thinking that you're about to lose. Baby, it's true, and if you lose and I don't sleep home worrying about me, that's how it be. If you don't know, now you know you're gonna miss my love.
Maegan, no, you caught me totally off guard. I hear you say, you know, you're not going to do makeup forever. I feel you'll get a call from our producer after this.
No, I think that certain things, as I was talking about earlier, you know, certain doors of opportunities have passed, and I feel like that door has passed and it has closed. I am okay with singing in my bathroom or singing to my kids, singing to my husband, singing in church. Yeah, but I have no.
That was so good. Seriously.
I think you're just being modest.
No, if you weren't good, I'll just be quiet. I'll be just like, okay, I'd give you the pleasant smile. But you really sound good.
Thank you.
Okay, well, you see what I mean? Maegan really belongs in front of the camera and not behind the scenes. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Urpreneur, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on our next episode. Take care.